Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. Okay, today I'm packing the kits to go with each of the journals. So what the theory is I'll have in here everything the girls need to take the journal to the next stage. So lots of different elements that just need to be glued in or stitched in, or just little trims added. But what I'm doing is putting as much as what I've created so far with each journal, because at the moment I've got little piles of goodies that belong to the journal. So I want to slide these in where I believe they should go according to journal 21, which, if you've watched my last video, is where I went and created the little journal. And now I've got all the elements I know where they've got to go. So what I'm going to do in this video is cut the scrapbook paper that is needed through the whole journal, and then add in these little decorative elements as well. So in the process, I will pop them in where they're roughly going to go, and then the girls can literally pick up a pack and it'll be ready to take it to the next level. I hope that makes sense. So what I've got is journal 21 as my reference to one side. It'll be out of shot over there. I just can't get it all into camera, but once we get started, you'll see. I've also gone through and written down the sizes of the papers needing to be cut to add to the journal pockets, tags and things like that, like this pocket here that's a double pocket. So somewhere in amongst that is the measurements for that. So out of camera shot, I will just keep that to one side as a bit of a reference. I've got journal 21 as a reference, because sometimes I look at my notes and go, what was I talking about? I really do not get it. So having the journal handy is really good. I'll keep these two here, and I'm going to slide everything into them as we go. Now these are the scraps from when we built the journal initially. So I'm just going to open these scraps up. I haven't figured out anything to do with this card yet. It's part of the project, but I'm yet to work out what I'm going to do with it, or if I use it at all. I've just got a heap of them, and it'd be nice to use 20 of them. I'm just not sure how yet. I'll come up with something, so I'll pop them out of the way for now. And we've got all of our scraps. I'm going to sit them to my side here so that I can just rummage through them as we need something to be cut. I hope I've got enough space for everything. Now I'm going to turn, I've packed a couple already, and I found the best way is I turn the journal sideways so that I'm able to just flip through the pages and slide in all of the bits and pieces as we go. And I find that I need my scissors just to weight things down, but we'll get to that. All right, the first thing is this envelope at the very front of our journal. It needs two tags, one to slide in the top and one to slide in the back here. So I need some big pieces of paper, and I've got this scrap. So I'm going to just cut that at, looking at my little notes, 3.5 by 6 and 3.5 by 6. So that's my two tags. And I'm going to try and pace myself and not rush, because I'll end up making a mistake, and then I'll have to go digging for papers that will suit. I'm just cutting the top so that when the girls get their kit, everything will, as much as possible, is prepared for them. So I'm just cutting the top of the tag, and I will corner the tags. So all they've got to do is ink it and decorate it. So there's the two tags are done. So we need another two. So I'm just rummaging through my papers to see what is here. That piece might work. It's only enough for one tag, but that's okay. So there's another one, and I might use this piece. Cut it at 6 first. Let's try and make the most of the prints that are on it, because some of these papers are nice and generic, so you don't have to worry too much, but then others have elements like this on it, so you've got to be a little bit mindful of design. So 3.5 by 6. Okay, so now I just got to cut these. It doesn't matter that they're not the same as the first 2 tags that we made. We're using scraps, so we sort of have to go by the seat of our pants and do what we can with what we've got. So 2 tags, and here comes the next 2. Now in this little envelope, journal in the front cover, was an additional pocket. So I'll just grab journal 21 to show you. So open it up. I'm talking about this little piece of scrap paper needed here for some tuck spots. So looking at my notes, we need it to be cut at 4 inches by 2 inches. So I'm just rummaging through the scraps. Oh, first of all, what paper is in there? Okay, so it's something of the grey nature, so we probably could get away with a darker grey. No, let's have it as a contrast. What have we got? It's going to be the pink, I think. So we need the pocket 4 inches by, where's my notes? 2. So just a little tuck spot. There will be some bits and pieces left over once we've done all this. So if the girls are so inclined, they can sort of go through and add an extra pocket or 2. Now I've made my measurements a little bit generic so the girls can adjust if needed, but they pretty much shouldn't need to. It should just all sort of fall into place. So the 2 tags, the pocket inside's done. Now, as I showed you in the last video, I've prepped some decorative elements as well for it. So I'll just grab a set out for each journal. Now that will give them the 2 tags they need, some stamps that go in a few key locations, and then I've got the top of one of those 6-inch tabs is a doily cut in half, and then a little bit of muslin, so that's ready to go for the girls just to jump on the sewing machine and attach them. And then the other half of that doily has the word journal, so that'll go on the front of this little pocket. So the postcard's been stitched onto the muslin, that will slide in behind, and the word journal is attached to the front. So as you can see, it's just all the bits needed sort of to finish off the front section of this journal. Not all elements have been nutted out to this degree, but quite a few. So at least the journals get to a stage where there's not a lot more to do. Now also needed here is up in this top corner is one of the snippets that Gabrielle created. So let's put in the butterfly snippet as well. I think that's pretty much it. So we're going to turn the page now. Now we've got a flip happening here. So on those flips, I had worked out that I was going to add these elements. Okay, now we've got white here. So I want to put a pocket there. So we just need to go back to the scraps and have a little look of pocket, single pocket, 4 1/4. Oh no, I think we're doing a double. Once again, go to the journal, have a little look. Yeah, it's a double. So I need a couple pieces cut. Now, they're all 4 inches wide. So I've got a nice scrap here. 1, 2. And they are 2 inches tall, which is what they are. So let's have a look at this piece. That's 4 inches wide. So let's make that 3. And 3. Now you could be really precise and work out the exact components from each piece of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper so that it just all come together. I haven't done that. I'm just sort of winging a prayer. It will be what it'll be. The little journal just sort of develops as it comes together is what it is. If you want to be more precise and get your scraps and work out exactly the measurements needed, go your hardest. But that's just not me. Okay, next we've got a pocket needed here. So it's just a single pocket, 4 3/4 by 2 1/4. So let's have a look at what scraps. Got some rose paper here that's really pretty. Let's see what we can get out of this. So 4 3/4 is our width. I've made a few kits up already and I haven't needed to go hunting for more paper to do everything. So I'm hoping that, you know, it will work out. So what am I working on next? Gee, it's hard to concentrate on all the measurements and also not make an error. So 2 1/4 is what we want. 2 1/4. That's it. So that's a pocket for there. Okay. Now we also have a postcard needed for the flip. Now as you can see, this page doesn't have the flip, so this one was actually put in upside down, so we will need the flip to go further back through the book. And if I can find where it is, here it is here, that will go there. So not a disaster, just makes the journal slightly different, which doesn't really matter. But both elements are in, so away we go. Got some plainer pages here. There will be a bit of maybe napkin decoupage happen, but at this stage it's sort of not on my radar to do. So we got a belly band happening next. So I've got 2 scraps here that I think will do the trick. Just got to trim this one. The belly band needed to be about 1 1/2 inches, which is fine. And then the height did vary. That one's perfect size and that's a similar height. So if I cut them, I've got a piece here that just needs to be trimmed. Okay, so now the belly band is going to be embellished with some snippet roll. This is one that I just have constantly just using scrap bits off of my project table where I just keep adding elements to it and it just becomes this big long decorative snippet roll. I keep it fairly neutral so that if I'm doing a journal that maybe has a crazy color in it, I can easily add that to it. So I'm just snipping off a piece to sit on that card on that music paper. So I can put the snippet roll away. Okay, what's next? Music paper. Okay, so we got a flip. So that will go on there. That will go on there. And as I said before, whatever scraps are left from doing this, the girls might decide to put a little pocket here out of some of the bits and pieces left. But at this stage, I haven't planned for it. The other argument is you don't want to do too much because the people that get the journal, you want them to play. So you sort of got to refrain a little bit. Now, this is the start of the center signature and there is a snippet going here. So that needs to be slid into there. Now we're into the center of the signature. Now if we get journal 21 and have a little look, I created some side tucks. I'm just going to place my big scissors on there to hold it. And I'll grab journal 21 just to give you a quick visual. There's the snippet we just put in place. So 2 pieces of card needed and some decorative trim. So here's some decorative trim that's just zigzagged down, ready to go. So I'll pop a piece of that in. That'll give them excess as well if they want to trim some of the tags that go into all these pockets. And we also need to create a little double pocket for this side. So I'll just move journal 21 and let's see what scraps we have. Here's a good big piece of pink, which should get quite a few of the pieces out. Now the larger of the 2 tucks is 3 and 3¼ So let's cut that and the second one. And then it needs to be cut at 7½ which I believe is a little bit bigger because some of the papers are 7½, some are 7¼ but the girls can trim it. Yeah, that one's a little bit smaller, you can see here, but that's all right. I'd rather give them that little bit extra than, you know, make it a little bit on the mean side and it doesn't quite make the page. So I'm just trimming this up because my cutter was a bit rough there. So now we need another 2 pieces to go down to create the side tuck. This will be a good one. Now that measurement for the side tuck needed to be 2 inches. I've got a piece here that's 2. Might make it a bit bigger, 2½. No, stick to what I had planned. 2. So that can go there. And I just need to find another piece that has the right width. Some rows, that'd be pretty. Or is it too similar? Oh no, I like that. Cut it at 7½ by 2. As you'll notice, not every pocket is identical. It doesn't have to be. You know, at the end of the day, we're trying to make what we can out of our scraps. So it is what it is. So the second pocket needed to be cut now is for this side, and I had planned for a double. So what have I written here? It is 4 inches by 1½ and 4 inches by 2½. So let's see if I got some 4-inch pieces. There's 1, 2, and it needs to be by 2½. So that's now the back part of that pocket by 2½. So I need something pretty to go across the front. Let's do this little piece of grey. Needs to be cut here. And this one has a little bit of pink on it, so we can use that there like that. So that's the 2 pockets to go on the side. So they're done. Okay, let's move along. What's next? We have, coming into the back, are some plain pages which we'll decorate. That's going to have a pocket on it, but it's going to be from the ephemera that will be part of this kit. The girls can just choose a piece that they like. So that's where that flip was. That was the page in reverse. So we've now made it to the very back of the small little one, and that was a little double pocket. Now that needs to be a measurement of about 4 3/4, I think. Let's have a look. What have we got? Yep, that looks pretty good. So scrap paper needs to be a 4 3/4 size, and that's exactly that. Its height needs to be 2 1/4. That's close enough. And see if I can find another piece that's similar. Yep. So 4 3/4 by, yep, so that'll do the trick. So I just got to cut. All right, so now we're going to have on that a little pocket as well, so we might put a pop of pink. That will do the trick. It's fun using all these scraps because it sort of tests you to make sure that it's all, you know, used. So I'm going to just cut a little pink pocket for each one of those. And that's 4 3/4. I can hear my husband's arrived for breakfast, so I'm very close to finishing where we're at with this. Okay, so that's its little double pocket ready to go. So that's in position. Now we'll just flip through and we're nearly at the back. So we've got this element now ready to go to do a page extension. I'll show them how to do that, so I can slide them in. And the very back page is a pocket, which is quite a thick, big pocket with a little tucky one on the front. So I'll just bring over journal 21. So we've got a big pocket and then a little scrap on the front. So let's get that big pocket cut first. And it is 4 inches by 2 3/4. So I've got a scrap here, 4 inches by 2 3/4. There's one. There's a floral piece, 4 inches by 2 3/4. Number 2. Now we need a little skinny pocket just to give it a pop. We'll use that one. And it's just to hold a little itty bitty tag. So let's have a look at that 1 1/4. That's probably a bit narrow. That might be a bit better piece. 1 1/4 by 3. So that one can go on there. And this little guy can have a little grey one. 1 1/4 by 3. Okay, so that's the little pocket and tuck for in there. Okay, now we're at the back. So now we've got our big white envelope, going in, which is a bag with the gusset. So I think I mentioned in the last video, this gets glued down, a decorative piece, which I'll cut now, goes on the front. That gets trimmed back a little bit so that it's not so big. And then in that pocket will be some pieces of ephemera and also 2 envelopes, so the girls can put all their excess bits and pieces from the project into those envelopes for the person to play with. So what I need to do now is cut this section. Now if I look through my scraps and see what I can find, got some pink, so that'll work. So it's just a case of giving it a little trim. I do have, that's my puppy dog woofing. I do have, that will work beautifully. So that measurement there is 2 1/4. So that's them cut. One for there, one for there. Okay, so that's in, that's in. I think that is it. The only other thing I'll need to add is the paper clips that the girls will need throughout. The rest of the textiles that they'll come across, I'll just put in the center of the table, and they can grab as needed. So now I can close that up, wrap the silk around, the seam binding around, and they are at kit stage. So I'm just grabbing the big Ziploc bag that I had them all in, and all I'm going to do now is slide them into there. So as you can see, it's a kit ready to go. So wherever we may be, I can give the girls one each. They'll do 2 journals at one time. I can then just pop down on the table any other little elements, like they may need some of that. They may need more of those things to put under stamps to decorate some of the cheesecloth fibres and things like that. So that's really simple. I can throw out a few tools and pretty much we're right to go. So that now will be sealed up and slid into my big storage box that has them all. And before I finish the video, I just need to organise the scraps that are still of some value to us, because we may need them. And as I said earlier, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those 2 white envelopes. I had thought about making a little ephemera holder out of them with some of these bits and pieces in there, so that they have some papers to play with that match the journals, because we've got all these little bits, and if you're just doing journaling in them, you might want to put a pop of colour throughout as you write. So the one theory, my working theory, is that we create a little booklet out of these white envelopes that holds some of these bits and pieces. So at this stage, I'm keeping everything, because even so, the girls might want to do some additional personalising of each of the journals. So these little bits and bobs are really handy to have. I'm going to drop one on the floor. There we go. So I'm just sort of gathering them together, using this to hold them, and the second one can just sit at the back. There's my bull clip. So my scraps are getting smaller and smaller as we go. Pop that in the bin. So I've got my kit ready to go with everything I've made so far, and yeah, the little pack. I believe I've forgotten the believes, so they also need to go in. They're sitting here looking at me. So they're on the very back page on that big craft brown bag. So I'll just slide them in there so that they're part of the pack. Everything else is in as I scan the table. Yep. So that's it. So that's sort of moved along to the next stage, ready for the girls to sort of have a play. Okay, everyone, thank you very much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.